So today we've got our comparison, Pure Aero 98 versus Pure Aero 100. Which is best for you and how do you decide? I personally feel like starting out with the 98. It's the one I'm most familiar with as of recently. So obviously the main differences here are going to be the head size, but the beam thickness cannot be underrated. The other thing, I think the 98 is stiffer. I know that they have the same strung stiffnesses according to Tennis Warehouse, but if you look at Babolat's targeted RA, they're targeting 71, and it does feel like a 71 stiffness to me. Another difference, 16 by 20 string pattern with the 98 versus that 16-19 with the Aero. Maybe it has more crosses, but that does not mean you're skimping on spin. You could see that ball absolutely dip. But part of that spin definitely comes from the string setup. So we're trying Toroline Wasabi X Pro Hybrid, which is a new hybrid spin string from our partners over at Toroline. If you want to get 20% off, you can use my link in the description, which will also help support the channel. So I'd say some highlights from the 98 are definitely speed. That racket head speed is really high. So moving on to the 100, let's see how forehands feel with this one. I think right away you feel a much softer hitting feel. I have both of these strung at 48 pounds with the same string, and I strung them earlier today, so it's not the strings. The racket feels softer and not as clear in terms of the response. I think it's slightly more muddied and less direct feeling because of that lower stiffness. I feel that it's also a bit slower through the air. Today I measured them and they've got this, my two have the same swing weight, so it's not a higher swing weight making the difference here. I got these both at a 325 strung swing weight. You can still see spin is huge, power is great, but I'm really not getting the same kind of rip through the ball and rip through the court that I can get with the 98. And that's something that for me is a bit of a deal breaker on the forehand. What I do think you get is a little bit more forgiveness outside the sweet spot, which you gotta love. So can you give me some backhands? Sorry. Let's see how I feel about the backhands. Right away, I always like a 100 square inch racket on my two-hander. My two-hander is a much flatter shot than my forehand, and I really don't feel like I'm giving much up. Even though this is, you know, a spin racket, you can still flatten balls out and give you nice depth control. I really like what they've done with the 2023 100, giving you that Aero Pro Drive tighter string pattern back. If you didn't know, for this year, the string pattern is tighter than the last two generations of Pure Aero. So that's something to keep in mind if you're coming from last gen. Okay, so let's see how this 98 does on my backhand side. Yeah, that much more direct feel. It's surprising how different these two feel in terms of their hitting feel. Find this one I have to, I can, or I have to flick it with my left hand a little more. It's a little bit easier to get that arc, and driving through it doesn't feel quite as natural on my two-hander. Still fine, but I much prefer the loopier backhand. So slices, my backhand slice is not great. I would not put too much credibility into what I'm about to say here. And you know, I would say that's pretty predictable. You know, I feel like I can float it. I can float it badly. So how about we try some serves? Okay, I'll serve to you. True confession, I have not warmed up my serve yet, but I kind of got the gist of how this thing plays. Oh yeah. I always miss with this racket on serve just by like a meter. So yeah, I just didn't want to drive through that, but you just feel like you can open it up at any time. I know, like, Alcaraz has a great kick serve, and I do feel like this serve kicks better than it slices. And I could never feel that confident or that precise serving with this. I remember, it's been a while since I hit the 100, but I do remember feeling a bit more comfortable serving with this racket. I felt like that thicker beam really gives you a lot of extra juice, so let's see. Yeah, I don't know why, but like this racket feels slower from the ground, but I'm serving, I feel like I like it more. But it's not kicking up at all. Okay, here we go. This one is going in. Oh my God. Okay, this serve that's going in is brought to you by Toro Line Wasabi X. 20% off. Okay, this one is brought to you by Restring Zero. 10% off. Okay. Ignore those last two. This one is brought to you by Grapplesnake. I think it's 10%, but I forget. See? I guess Grapplesnake's the best. Okay, I'm gonna try to hit you like one that's nice. I'm gonna try to get this in and returnable. Yeah, I really like the 98 way more. It's just a great racket. Oh, man, I really like the 98 more. It feels faster, the hitting feels more crisp. You're not losing that much stability or forgiveness because of how stiff it is. If you go with the more muted string like Wasabi, it's still comfortable enough, at least for me. I have a hard time seeing the value in this, but let's see if this racket's owner, Bobby, likes it better. So Bob, this is actually your Pure Aero 100. What initially made you switch to it? What was it? How many months ago? Two months or something?
A couple months ago, yeah. I felt like it just suited my swing style. Yeah, I just thought I'd try it out.
Looking for that extra spin.
Yep.
Completely brainwashed by the marketing.
Yes.
But since I brought this out, you've been wanting to step out of the house a little bit?
A little bit, yeah, you could say that. That's perfect. I just wanted to use this, and
I think you should hold it.
Yeah, well, yeah, you're right. I'll use a sports analogy. It's kind of like, for a marathon. Like I feel like I was in a marathon and just felt like I was always in it with this racket in rallies.
Right, you're not feeling like you're getting pushed around, and you're feeling like you have enough of a consistent feel that you're going to keep that ball in one more time.
That's right.
Kind of situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel that way as well, but for me, it's just like it lets you be aggressive. I find so efficiently, and that's what I find I'm seeing in your game when you're using that racket compared to the 100. Is you feel more confident taking it early, which is huge, especially when you're at the 3.540 kind of level that Bob's at. And it looks like you're wanting to go after the ball rather than letting the ball come to you. And that's not the racket, obviously, but that's the mentality that I find so many players that I let try this racket have. I filmed the full review for that with a bunch of guys, like 10 guys who are all just messing around on the court, and everyone is like just wants to hit huge winners. And is that Alcaraz's influence? Maybe, but maybe not.
Yeah. It was lighter, it felt whippier, so that kind of
Yeah.
made me want to boss the opposing player around a little
Which
bit
is
more.
weird because it's supposed to be heavier.
Yeah.
Okay,
Loved
and
it.
let me know if you guys have any questions in the comments, and if you love Bob, you want to slide right into his DMs, I'll put his Instagram on, and you can also check out the YouTube channel that he's working on with our buddy Vince over at Adventure Tennis.